CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi joins us now. Olivia, we sort of laid out where the administration stands when it comes to Ukraine. We have Secretary of State Rubio saying, look, we're going to find out in the coming days if this is worth our time. We have the vice president saying he's optimistic that they can strike a deal. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, Lindsay, you're right in saying that the White House is losing their patience when it comes to negotiating the end to the war in Ukraine, that nearly 3-year-long war between Ukraine and Russia. It was a bit of a surprise this morning when we heard from Secretary Rubio, fresh off of a meeting with French counterparts, where he talked with reporters and said, look, there's a real question here about whether or not we can even get to a result here. And at a certain point, the U.S. is going to walk away from these negotiations. That came as a shock, of course, to the Europeans and to the Ukrainians, who are eager to get to perhaps some type of ceasefire that is beneficial to them. Secretary Rubio went on to say if it's not possible to end the war, we need to move on, and said that they would decide this in a matter of days or whether or not this is doable in the next few weeks. So quite notable there. But we also heard from Vice President Vance in Italy with Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, where he said they're optimistic that they can get to an end to the war in Ukraine. Also said that there have been some interesting news in the last 24 hours about this specific end to this war. We also heard from President Trump today in the Oval Office about this as well, where he said there's no specific number of days that he's looking at to see if they can make a deal. But he said they do want to get it done. It's a signal overall, though, that their patience is really wearing thin, specifically on this. And of course, this doesn't happen in a vacuum. Let's think back to a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, when President Zelensky of Ukraine was here at the White House and had that blow up in the Oval Office between President Trump and Vice President Vance. Since then, they have restarted negotiations and trying to find an end to that war. But this White House, the Oval Office, says they're not quite sure if they can get there anymore. Lindsay?
We're also learning Gary Shapley has been replaced as the acting IRS commissioner just 2 days after he took the post. Remind us who he is and what's happening here.
Well, to set the scene a little bit, this is the 4th acting commissioner of the IRS in the last year, or since the start of this year, rather. So just think about that. There's been a lot of turnover in this role specifically, but Gary Shapley was someone who was the whistleblower during the Hunter Biden IRS tax case. He spoke with CBS News about that at the time. We had done extensive reporting on that, and as a result, Trump essentially picked him to lead the IRS. Now, 2 days later, he is out of that role, and we're told reportedly that some of this is because of issues between Elon Musk, senior advisor to the president and leader of Doge, and Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. That Secretary Bessent was not aware that Gary Shapley was the one that they were pushing to be in this role, and he was being pushed there at the behest of Elon Musk. So a lot of backbiting and conversation specifically about this role. But 2 days later, he is out of that role. Again, the 4th person to hold that role in this year alone. Trump's pick to lead the IRS, Billy Long, his nomination and his proceedings are stuck in Congress. So still really a question of who exactly is going to fill this critical role leading the nation's tax revenue service.
Finally, what do we know about the Trump administration moving to classify career civil servants as at-will employees?
Yeah, we found out about this earlier today. This is what's colloquially known as Schedule F, which essentially means that career civil servants who serve in government are really protected from the turnover from administration to administration. Of course, there's political appointees, but those people who have been in that role for 20 years, serving as political experts or experts rather in subject matter, can remain in that role. We now know that the White House is looking to overturn that, and they're going to look specifically at that. The Office of Personnel Management estimates that about 50,000 people will be impacted by that if the White House chooses to get rid of Schedule F. So quite notable there. And what this essentially does would allow the White House greater flexibility in firing those employees, because it would change them from career civil servants to at-will employees. So would be part of their efforts to reshape the federal government, something Trump has set his eyes on for quite a while, Lindsay. So it is notable that they are pushing forward with this so that they can fire more of those career civil servants.
Okay, Olivia Rinaldi, thank you. Later this hour, I'll speak with a former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine about what the path forward looks like for Russia's invasion in that country.